Hello everyone. So today I'm here to discuss with you and learn about a new story which is prescribed in your CBSE class 6 book Honeysuckle. And it is the very first chapter of your book, which is Who Did Patrick's Homework. It is a very interesting story and you would love this story. But you must be wondering, what is this picture that is present on the screen doing? So this is a picture of the famous hockey player Dhyan Chand. Now all of you must be loving sports and games, isn't it? We all do love playing sports and playing lots of games all the time. But what is the story? Who did Patrick's homework? So Patrick was like any other boy. Maybe he was of the age that you are in. So the story is revolving around Patrick. Now let's see what Patrick was and what kind of a boy he was. Patrick never did homework. Too boring, he said. He played hockey and basketball and Nintendo instead. Now you have already seen that he loves playing hockey just like Mr. Dhyan Chand. And what does he love? He also loves to play basketball. So here you are seeing the picture of the famous basketball player Michael Jordan in action. And if he didn't play hockey and basketball, instead of it he would play Nintendo. Now Nintendo here is a video game, okay, a video game that is very famous in Japan and it is now famous worldwide perhaps also. So he was always busy playing all these things, means he was a sports loving person. And his teachers told him, Patrick, do your homework or you won't learn a thing. So his teachers always warned him that if you don't do your homework in time, you will not learn anything, you will not be able to know anything new. And it's true. Sometimes he did feel like an ignoramus. Now look at the word ignoramus. What does it mean? He is a person who is ignorant, who doesn't know anything, who lacks education or knowledge. And sometimes he did feel, Patrick also feels that yes, if he continues playing all the time, he will lose interest in education and he will not learn anything new. So maybe all of you do love games and don't love homework like Patrick, isn't it? So Patrick doesn't love homework and maybe some of you also don't. But the importance of homework is what? That if you do your work, if you do your homework regularly, you will be able to recollect whatever was taught in the class and then you can easily understand and write it in your exams. So Patrick here, he hated homework. Even if he wanted to do something, he hated homework. That's why he ignored it. So after some time, what happens? Let's see. Then one day, he found his cat playing with a little doll and he grabbed it away. So one day he saw that his cat was playing with a little doll. Okay, and to his surprise, so he thought that the cat was playing with a doll, but to his surprise, but when he looked closely, what did he see? It wasn't a doll at all, but a man of the tiniest size. Man of the tiniest size. You can see on the screen a man of the tiniest size. And what kind of a man it was? He had a little wool shirt with old fashioned breeches. Breeches are trousers, okay? Here the spelling is written in a different manner just to rhyme with the next word, which is witches. So this little man, this little elf, had a woolen shirt with breeches and a high tall hat, a very long hat, which looked like a witch's. Okay. So he yelled, he shouted, "Save me! Don't give me back to the cat." So the elf was very scared, very terrified, frightened by the cat, and he asked Patrick that please save me from the cat. If you save me from the cat, I will grant your wish. So the elf was requesting Patrick that please save me from the cat. And if you save me from him, I will grant your wish. I will let you have a wish. And I promise that the wish will be granted. So Patrick couldn't believe how lucky he was. Patrick was very happy. He thought that now all his problems were sorted. All the problems related to his homework, his studies was suddenly solved. So he said, only if you do all my homework till the end of the semester. That's 35 days. So in some schools, in some places, what happens is studies the education system is based on semester system. Like for example, in school nowadays you are having term 1 and term 2. So in some schools that is a semester. And how many days were there? That was 35 days of a semester. So he told the elf that if he can do a good job, if he can complete all his work, then he could even get A's. Means if Patrick's work was done properly by the elf, Patrick would even get A's, good grades, that means. Okay. Now what about the elf? What does the elf reply? The little man's face wrinkled like a dishcloth thrown in the hamper. But when the little man, the elf, heard the wish of Patrick, he was disappointed, and he felt like he was just a piece of dishcloth, a cloth that is used for washing dishes, thrown into a huge basket. Means he was thrown into more trouble. He kicked his legs and doubled his fists as if he was very angry, and he grimaced and scowled and pursed his lips. Means he was disgusted. He was not at all happy about it. He was angry, and he disapproved of this idea of having to complete Patrick's homework. And what did he say? Because of all this, these words came out of his lips. Oh, am I cursed? But I will do it. Because he was bound to do it. He had no other choice, because he has promised Patrick that he will do all the work. And true to his word means he kept his promise. So according to the promise, that little elf began to do Patrick's homework. So now the little elf has started doing Patrick's homework. But there was a glitch. Glitch means a small problem, some kind of fault. Here it is used as a problem. Now what was the problem? The elf didn't always know what to do, and he needed help. Help me, he would say. And Patrick would have to help. So the elf, the little man, did not know anything. He knew very little, and therefore he was always in need of help from Patrick. And he would shout out, Patrick, please help me. You have to help me in whatever way you can. So what happens now? Patrick would have to help, and Patrick also had no choice. He would also have to help. So the elf used to always shout out, I don't know this word. I don't understand what is the meaning of the word. Get me a dictionary. Get me a dictionary so that I can find the meaning of the word. No, what's even better? Look up the word and sound it out by each letter. So the elf asked Patrick that don't just get a dictionary. What you can do best is just look up the word in the dictionary yourself and try to tell the word by telling out each of the letters of that word. So that is how the elf did the homework with the help of Patrick. So when it came to maths, now after language, the next subject is maths. What is the problem with maths? Patrick here too was out of luck. Out of luck means he had no advantage in maths either, because the elf didn't know either of it. So the elf is shouting like anything now. He is shouting that what are times tables? You know what is timetables, which you use in multiplication. So the elf doesn't know all these things. So he is asking, what are timetables? We elves never need that. We elves, we little people, we never need all these things. And addition and subtraction and division and fractions. And he is continuously telling all the topics. What are all these topics? I don't know anything of it. I don't know the ABCD of all these things. Please sit down. Here, sit down beside me. You have to sit down near me, and you must guide me. You must help me. You must make me understand what are all these things. Elf know nothing of human history. Now the next subject. What is the next subject the elf is talking about? It is human history. So he again says that for people like us, for elves like us, human history is just like a mystery. Something that is not understood. So the little elf, already a shouter, just got louder. See, so beautifully the writer has rhymed the words shouter and louder. So the little elf was already shouting, and his shouts began more and more louder. All his shouts, all his sound, whatever he was sound he was making from his mouth became more and more louder. And he said, "Go to the library. I need books. You have to bring books for me. I need more and more books so that I can understand what is all there about all in these subjects. And you can help me read them too." So now Patrick has no other choice. As a matter of fact, every day, in every way, that little elf was a nag. So Patrick was actually thinking that the elf will help him, but instead, Patrick had to help the elf himself, because the elf was so angry, he was so confused, that Patrick had to help him. He was always troubled, and therefore he troubled Patrick also, that you have to help me. And what did Patrick do? Patrick was working harder than ever. Means that person who never did his homework himself, he was also working harder than usual, than ever. And was it a drag? Now see here the word drag. Drag means something dull and uninteresting. So something like homework which Patrick never felt good about, he had to do all this. He had to work hard on it. And he was staying up nights. Staying up nights means he was working very hard, even in the night time, even after the day was over. He had never felt so weary. So he was working so hard that he had never before felt so tired. He was going to school. Every day he was going to school with his eyes puffed and blurry. Means his eyes were tired, and it looked as if he was working, he was not sleeping at all. So finally what happens, the last day of school arrived. Means the last day of the semester had reached, and the elf was free to go. Now the elf, he had kept his promise, he helped Patrick, now he was able to go. So he went away quietly. And as for homework, there was no more either. So both the elf was free and the homework was also over. And so he quietly and slyly, without making any noise, slipped out the back door. So he had escaped, he had kept his promise, and therefore he was free to go. Now what about Patrick? Patrick was left. What about Patrick? So you must not worry, because Patrick also got his A's. Means he got all the good grades, he got the A grade. His classmates were amazed. His teachers smiled and were full of praise. And suddenly, the boy who didn't love homework at all was scoring so good marks. His friends also, his classmates were also surprised by his performance. His teachers were smiling like anything, and they were full of praise. They were appreciating the efforts done by Patrick. And what about his parents? They wondered what had happened to Patrick. And the parents were full of surprise. They were confused that what had happened to their boy. How did he become such a model kid? Model kid means generally we look up to someone like an idol. We look up to someone that we must be like him. So he was now the model kid, the kid who would be looked upon by the others. He used now that Patrick who used to play only games, he started cleaning his rooms. He did his own chores, whatever daily chores would be done. He was very cheerful. He never was rude with others. He never treated anyone with disrespect. He had developed a very different attitude. He had developed a very new attitude towards everything. He had become more positive minded. And so you can see that in the end, Patrick still thought he had made that tiny man do all his homework. So Patrick, till that time, till the day, he believes that it was because of the tiny man, it was because of the elf that he was able to score such good marks and was able to complete his homework. But here, the writer, Carol Moore, shares something. As it is said in the last line, "But I will share a secret. just between you and me. Means it is meant to be a secret between you and me. Means between you, you is the author and me is, sorry, you is the reader. That means you. And me is the author, who is Carol Moore. And what is the secret? It wasn't the elf. Means there was no elf. There was no little man who was helping Patrick. All the things that was being done, the homework, the studies, everything, Patrick had done it himself. So this is the story, and you must have found out that actually there is no one who will help you. There is no one who was helping Patrick. Actually, Patrick was being helped by his own self. He was helping himself by studying properly, by working hard. And that is what the story also teaches us. It teaches us that hard work is the key to success, that we have to work hard in order to achieve all the goals in our life. And no one will help us. Self help is the best help, as it is said. And therefore, though we love many things, it is not just about loving and playing sports, but it is also about education. We must keep a balance in our studies as well in our sports. And that's only when we will be both mentally and physically fit. Okay? Studies at the study time and sports in the sports time. So that is all about the story. I hope you have understood the story. Thank you.